Okay, 5 minutes. Well, I'll talk a little bit about handicapped parking in Taiwan, or maybe more modern way of saying it, disability parking in Taiwan. I'm fine with handicap parking. I think they still call it that here. Uh, disability parking spaces. Um, I'm getting to have some experience with this now since I have a disability, and I would like to take advantage of the disability parking spaces when I can, when I go to places. Let's say it's like Costco or to an event or to the beach. Now, suddenly, it's really nice if there are these spaces available because they're always the ones that will be closest to the entrance or closest to an elevator that I need to use. And that is great because it saves me a lot of energy mostly. It's not really about saving time, it's about saving energy because, something I think a lot of people don't realize about, um, at least for people like me, that, my disability requires, means that I need to use a wheelchair when I go out. If I go to Costco, I need to have a wheelchair and then I'm pushing the wheelchair. And that just takes something like 35% more energy from me in general than was needed before just to walk around. Um, that's my best guesstimate of the percentage, but it's more work, it's more energy. So if I have to be parked super far away from an elevator or from an entrance, it's just exhausting, more exhausting. And so it is a nice benefit to have those spaces. But the interesting thing that I also notice, at least in Taiwan where I live, is that those parking spaces, they're almost always full. And they're not always full from people who have disabilities. And I don't know if this is the case in places like the US. Um, I'm I feel like pretty certain that in the States, if you don't have a handicap sticker, then you don't park in the handicap space because the fines are really high and they tend to give out tickets a lot there. Um, I just, yeah, I feel like it's a big faux pas. I don't really know if that's true because I don't live in the States anymore, but I I've always felt like, at least when I was in the States and was driving there, that, like handicap spaces are totally off limits and, people that don't have a handicap sticker don't park in there. But in Taiwan, I don't feel like that's as true because I'd say 80% of the cars that I see in these spaces do not have handicap permits in their dashboard. I know this because I look, because I'm always surprised that wherever I go, there's never any of these handicap spaces available. And then when I look at the cars, let's say if there's 3 spaces that they have available, one of them will have a permit and the two won't. And for whatever reason, these people parking in these spaces are always driving a BMW or a Mercedes or some fancy car like that. I don't know what that's all about. Is that privilege? Is that I don't know. But so that's kind of a thing, and I notice that I'll feel a bit annoyed. Um, it doesn't annoy me to the point of getting like enraged because you know I'm fine. There's always a spot. I can always find something, and generally I find something that's close enough. But I think it's funny that in Taiwan it's generally like I think they just don't give out tickets for those spaces very often here. I don't, because people don't seem to be worried about just parking in those spaces. They just assume that nobody's ever parking in them or something. But the irony is that I think the people with the handicap parking permits aren't parking in them because they're never available, because they're being used by some guy with a BMW who wants to be close to the elevator because they're spoiled. Anyways, that was my 5 minutes. It's gonna be okay. Happy, what is today? Happy Tuesday.